Good evening, everybody. Let the record show that a quorum is present. Jesse, Katie, present. Brenda,
Present.
Esmeralda.
This is old.
Oh, this is old. Nope. Mary, Robles.
Present.
Oh, Mary Bell.
Maribel, thank you.
Clear things up.
Maggie Morales. Lisa Salazar. Mary Silva.
I'm not on here.
The time is now 5:31 p.m., May 17th, 2023. As Vice President Katie Farias calls this budget workshop of the Southside Independent School District Board of Trustees to order. This meeting is being held and has been posted in accordance with the Government Code, Chapter 551, State of Texas Opens Meeting Act. At this time, there's no public comments. So we'll move on to the presentation. Information budget workshop will be held at 5:30 to review campus and department needs, assessments, operating expenses, and staff needs aligned with the district goals. Superintendent Ramirez.
Good afternoon, Board of Trustees, staff, and community members. Administration will provide an update on this year's budget and discuss the upcoming school year plans. And for the presentation, we have Ms. Dillard.
Thank you, Superintendent Ramirez, Board of Trustees, Vice President Ms. Farias, executive team, parents and community who are joining us here in person and online. So I want to say thank you for the opportunity to provide this budget workshop from a conceptual perspective. So this is, of course, budget workshop number 2. What we're going to be talking about, and you should have a PowerPoint at your station in regards to our proposed revenue considerations. I want to be very specific in outlining these because part of the budget presentation is that we have listed all of these. So the budget is taking into consideration the state compensatory education requirements or allotments, our student enrollment, our student average daily attendance rate, our ad valorem and delinquent tax collection, as well as the adopted tax rate. We are also going to be talking about donations, or taking into consideration that in our budget, fundraising, bond tax maintenance, note financing, federal and local grants. So all of those are important to take into consideration as we are calculating our revenue. You will see on the next slide what our proposed revenue is. I share this with you based on the information that we know now, based on what's going on with the legislation, what has or is pending to be passed, based on what we have reviewed in our TEAL Summary of Finance from the state, which is known as Texas Education Agency. So you'll see here on this proposed revenue for 23-24, all of our accounts that you all have supervision over, the general fund, food service, and debt service. You'll see the proposed revenue for general fund property taxes is at $22 million, and that's the M&O side of our tax rate. $150,000 for our local and intermediate sources, $37 million for the FSP, which takes into consideration the state of Texas and their adjustments in our payment ledger based on our ADA for the previous year. So in June, we will have more specific information coming to us from the state of Texas or the Texas Education Agency as they're reviewing snapshot submissions as well as the summer submissions. So I share that with you now. And then, of course, our federal sources, $2.2 million, what we're projecting as incoming revenue for the district. This is slightly lower than what we had for last year. Last year, we had a little over 2.3 million, but at this time, all of our ESSER funds have been exhausted, and so we will not, that is the projected revenue for federal programs. So you'll see our projected revenue for general operating fund, $61,350,000. Our food service is $7,477,850. Our debt service, which is at its highest that it's been in a while, of $8.2 million. and that is based on our M&O portion of our tax rate from last year, and then $1 million from our state sources, which is basically our refunding. In 2020, the district refunded some of its bonds, but due to COVID, there were some delays in processing at TEA. They were remote, and then they had staff going in partially. So the 2020 bonds that were refunded then have not been credited until this year, 2023 of January. So you'll see that our total revenue for property taxes is going to be $30 million. Our local and intermediate sources is $282,100. Our state sources is $38,020,000. And then our federal sources cumulatively, and this includes child nutrition, $9.5 million. As we are going forward, what we are wanting to present today is our most conservative approach based on the information that we have now. We did have 450 students enroll with us in October at our snapshot, so we are anticipating TEA taking that into consideration, but they have not updated their records based on the summary of finance and won't typically until June. So in June is when we'll give you more specific information based on what the summary of finance calculations are for them from TEA, and it is aligning to this. We are anticipating more because of that enrollment, but I would rather be conservative and say, here's what we know right now that we can budget and prepare for. And then if we get additional monies based on their calculations, because of our increased enrollment, we'll make those adjustments and keep you all updated. The salary increase option that we are proposing or want your consideration or feedback on is option 1 is what we're calling it. We currently, for the last 3 years, have participated in our supply stipend, and that is for the Board of Trustees have listened to our teachers and our staff, and they're saying that they need additional. They appreciated the supply fee so they can buy supplies for their buses, for their classrooms, for their instructional coaching situations. So we do 4 payments of $75. Cumulatively, it's $300 a year. We also have what we're proposing for goal attainment stipend, $2,320 for auxiliary staff, $2,642 for professional administrative staff. What I wanted to do this year is be more specific and not leave anything up to interpretation. So here you'll see the salary increase, which is taking the $300 stipend plus the $2,320 for auxiliary staff. You're adding that together, multiplying it by 325, which will give you a base salary increase for all 325 staff members of $851,500. The next column, which is employer taxes increase, I labeled that way to accommodate and include all of our fringe benefits, what we call. So whatever we pay for our insurance for the staff members who participate in Humana, what we're doing for our TRS contributions, what we're doing for Medicare, FICA, various different things, employer contributions, as well as TRS on behalf. So we're using this at $212,875 for auxiliary staff for a total proposed increase for option 1 for auxiliary of $1,064,375. That is the same pattern that we're going to follow in the other slides, but I wanted to point that out here so that I would be able to field any questions you may have or ask why there's different columns this year versus last year. Last year when I presented it, it was a total salary. This way you can see what the base salary is versus the insurance and fringe benefits. The total increase to the district would be $3.7 million. If this is an option that the board would like to move forward with, then here's what it would look like. I'm using the green and yellow because that's how I do the Board of Financials. We do green for revenue and yellow for actual expenditures. So in this regard, we have revenue of $61,350,000, and that was on your slide. You'll see here the operating expenses that we're projecting for 23-24 based on what we know now of $10,818,473. Our salaries and fringe benefits that we're targeting now based on the information, $46 million. So adding the $3.7 million to this as a stipend would mean the total expense for the district would be $61,345,463. This is going to keep us within the proposed budget. You can't spend more than the more revenue than you bring in, so that will allow $4,538 to be added to fund balance if this was a salary increase the Board of Trustees wanted to pursue. I'm going to move on to option number 2. Same formulas, same concept, but the pricing is going to be $300, which is the supply stipend, a retention stipend of $1,000, and then goal attainment, which is similar to what we've been doing for the last 2 years, $2,500 for auxiliary staff, $3,000 for professional teachers as well as administrators. Using the same number of staff in this category, you'll see that it's going to cost a total of $5,494,375. Based on what we have right now, this is option number 2. Here is salary option number 2, which shows $61,350,000 in proposed revenue. Using the operating expenses and the salaries consistently, if this is chosen, or if this is something that we are going to want to do, then the cost to the district is going to be $5,494,375, which would mean $1.7 million would need to be identified on prioritizing our spending. So if we choose to do this, we would want to adjust where functions, and I use functions, 11, which is instruction, 12, which is curriculum and instruction, and 13, which is PD, all of those function numbers with those descriptions. We do have departments and functions that don't utilize all of their appropriated money. So what we too many W's in that sentence. What we are proposing is that we would take those funds and reallocate them to accommodate the $1.7 million to improve, or to make this particular unit whole. Here we have option 3. This one
Ms.
is.
Dillard?
Yes.
Real quick, can we let the record show that Mr. Hernandez has gotten here at 5:42? 5:42. Thank you, sorry.
You're very welcome, no worries. So on the option, proposed salary increase, option 3, $300 stipend would maintain, a $1,200 retention stipend for each category of employees, the same goal attainment of $2,500, $3,000 for professional staff, and $3,000 for administration. You'll see that this is $6.1 million. And this is how it would affect the budget if this is chosen. So this is an increase of $2.3 million. And again, the priority would be to maximize the dollars of the functions and the departments who do not utilize all of their funding each year. This is the last option that we're proposing, which is option 4. And this is a base salary increase. It is the exact same dollar amount as we proposed for option 1, except the difference here is that this is TRS compensatable. So this means that this goes to the base salary, similar to the base salary increase last year, different from the goal attainment. This does affect retirement earnings and wages and things like that, and this is something, if this is the direction that we decide to go, we'll stay with the staff every year. And so here's where we are in regards to this. So because this is the exact same dollar amount as option 1, it will be within budget, and you will see the $4,538 for salary option 4. As this is a presentation of the concept of the data that we have now, this is where we are wanting to present and ask if you have any questions or any direction.
Any questions?
I do.
Yes.
For clarification.
Yes.
I was trying to answer, but can you tell me the difference between retention stipend and what a goal attainment stipend is?
Absolutely. So what we're doing is that we have a retention stipend for, and we used this last year as well. So because of the nature of the education field on hiring and retaining qualified individuals, any staff member who works for the 22-23 school year this year and returns will have a retention stipend. We want to say thank you, great job, well done, and we want to show you that that you're value added. So that's the retention stipend, because you're coming back. The goal attainment stipend is for performance-based. It is $1,000 at the beginning, and then after each semester, based on the individual goals of the department and campuses, depending on the staff category, they will receive $1,000 at the end of the semester or $750, and that's at the end of the second semester as well. But the goal attainment is performance-based.
That's like what we did.
That is what we've been doing for the last 2 years. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
And just to add to what Ms. Dillard said, the retention stipend, in case you receive the retention stipend, if you end up leaving before the year's over, you need to pay back the $1,000.
Yes, and all those exit conversations happen with me. I do it with a smile, but I do let them know that they have to pay it back, because in order to be retained, as Superintendent Ramirez says, you need to be here to help us achieve the successful activities that the students are doing. Yes?
And I don't know if you can answer this question. Do y'all have any idea at this current time how many employees we may be losing, or how many are coming back, or we haven't gotten there yet?
So I have an idea, because I've been working with the HR, but I'm going to defer to Mr. Ramirez whether he not wants to bring Ms. Maribel up to answer that
Oh,
question.
sorry.
So, no, it's okay, if I may, sir. So at this time, we have 18 staff members who have resigned. Now, our study shows that we could possibly be about 60 to 70 staff members that were overstaffed. So next week, we're meeting with the executive team and the principals to go over staffing and to make sure that the individuals who have left, if the numbers of students justify the number of staff members that they have, we're moving forward with that. If the numbers don't show that, then depending if it's less, then we wouldn't hire additional staff at that campus. So it would be based entirely on the enrollment, the student enrollment.
How many we were overstaffed?
60 to 70, our study showed 89, but it didn't take into account the additional 450 students that came in this year.
The 60 to 70, that's all teaching positions?
It's all from all departments, including teaching positions. So we can get a breakdown to see where we're at, but that would be based on the student enrollment at each of the campuses.
So of those never mind. Of those 18 that are leaving, are they administrators, are they teachers, are they paraprofessionals? I mean, do you have an idea of the breakdown of them?
It's primarily teachers, but there's some administrators in there too, and some.
Could we get a breakdown per campus, like who's leaving at which, like number-wise, so we know if it might be a campus issue, or, thank you.
We can do that.
Thank you.
Is there a cutoff date for the teachers to notify you whether they're coming back or not?
Yes, June 28th? June 28th.
I forgot.
So because of the answer is June 28th, the question I'm going to guess was, what's the last day to resign? Because I couldn't hear it, so I was just checking for understanding. Okay. Thank you for your grace and mercy.
And if I may, Mr. Hines, and just to, again, add to what Ms. Dillard said, this is worst-case scenario. We're being extremely conservative. With the additional 450 students, we're expecting an additional $2.9 million based on the funding that we receive for every student. However, that's not part of this presentation because as of yet, we have not received notification that we're going to receive that additional money. So this presentation is based on what we have right now. In June, we should get an update from TEA showing that we will receive that money. So for the June workshop, we would bring that information and y'all would know that we would receive, hopefully, those additional $2.9 million.
So on the 450 students that Mr. Ramirez is referencing, the legislature has improved or has approved an increase in the basic allotment. It went from 6150 to 6250. So I know that there are some individuals who are going to do the calculation, so.
And I'm sorry, one last thing. This does not include what the state is proposing or the state approves on any salary increases. So this is not in lieu of, or it's not in case they approve it. This is what we have right now and the proposals that we're presenting to the board. in addition to whatever the state comes back and says that they've approved for the additional increase, we would say that would be in addition to. So let's say that they say 1,500 and the board says, well, we want to go with the $3,000 stipend. So the staff would receive the $3,000 plus the 1,500, whatever the state approves, in addition to their salary.
And this would include any new employees that are coming on board?
Yes, it would include all employees, all professional staff that come in, depending if the state comes out and says it's just professional employees, then that's what would be added to the salaries of the professional staff. If they say all staff, then it would go to all staff.
One more question. Where does the food service fund and the debt service fund fit in with the salary options?
So neither child nutrition nor the debt service is affected in any way to operating fund of 199. So you cannot pay, no school district in the state of Texas can pay any maintenance and operation fees, teacher salaries, utilities, things like that, out of their debt service. We chose to adjust our tax rate to affect the increase in debt service so that the district has additional options to do for various different activities, instruction, things like that. Right now, probably sharing too much, right now the market is not designed, or it's not favorable for a lot of financing or activities like that. So we are making sure that we are having the amount of money in the debt service in one of our highest rated interest-bearing accounts. So for child nutrition, it is a federal funded program, and so all of it must stay in child nutrition. So any child nutrition employee, manager, assistant manager, director, assistant director is all funded out of 240 and does not currently affect 199 unless it's for, we've used funds to help them do renovations that can't be paid out of the federal funds. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Ms. Dillard?
Yes.
From the perspective of how we're compared across our districts in the city, and my apologies if
No
I
worries.
missed this, but how does the pay scales for each of these different options align?
So where we are in comparison, I'm checking for understanding, that where the city, Southside ISD is in comparison to other cities, other districts that have approved it. Right now, to my knowledge, and if something happens tonight or happened yesterday, I've missed it. The only district that has approved is San Antonio ISD, and they have advertised that they're doing a significant raise. 19 million, I think, is what they said. The resulting impact of that is their 4 to 9% raise is still not going to make them as competitive with our starting salary or with our other tenured salaries. So for now, in Bexar County, Southside ISD is still the premier or the top paying district for salaries. Does that answer your
Yes,
question?
it does.
Okay.
Thank you.
And if I may, Mr. Hernandez, they're proposing a 3% increase up to a 9% increase. The 9% increase going to teachers that are 25 years and plus. So that 3% equals $2,200. If you add the $2,200 to what they're paying their teachers right now, it's not more than what we are currently paying our teachers. So with the, let's say it's $3,000 that we would, if the board opts for that option, then we would be $3,000 more than the amount that we were already exceeding their proposal. So I think that with the $2,200, their teacher salary, starting salary was gonna be about $57,000. We're at $59,000 currently right now. So even with that proposal, they do not surpass what we're offering our staff.
But we are making sure that we are looking and doing the research and making sure that we are going to be competitive or understand and look at ways that they're doing it. One of the options that they're doing is that they did have a reduction in force. They are they're making some adjustments in the amount and the value of 120 positions. So,
Yes, sir.
And one last thing, their proposal of $2,200, and if I understood it correctly, is based on that they're already taking into account whatever the state is going to pass. So if the state passes 1,500, then they're saying the raise is 2,200, so we're gonna pay an additional 700 plus those 1,500. What we're saying is that we're gonna offer this, whatever option the board approves, and in addition, whatever the state approves. So it's not part of the package. The state proposal is in addition to. San Antonio ISD is saying it's part of the 2,200. So if it's 1,500, they're only offering 700 to make up for the total 2,200.
Okay. One last question, Ms. Dillard.
Yes.
The additional expense, that's going to come out straight out of our fund balance?
No, one of the things that we were talking, one of the things I was presenting, we're sharing with the Board of Trustees is that we have departments and functions that don't always use every dollar that's been appropriated to them. So instead of focusing on using the fund balance, we're going to be prioritizing our spending and using money and reappropriating it in the district from the operating expenses.
So if you sweep those accounts, that would take care of this?
Yes, sir.
I have a question.
Yes.
For me? Okay. Ms. Dillard, do we have a percentage of how many staff or teachers met the goal attainment stipend this year?
I do not have that with me. Of all the questions I anticipated, that wasn't one of them, so I can get that to you. But and when you say received the maximum?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
I guess more like the medium to maximum.
Okay, minimum to maximum, I can give you the specifics on that, but just as a general rule, we had anywhere from 92 to 95% of professional staff achieve the maximum goal performance.
92?
92 to 95%.
Okay.
And what, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you're.
Are there any other questions?
Yeah, I just have one more question. In the beginning of the presentation, you were talking about the ESSER funds. You had mentioned that we've already spent all our ESSER funds. They're completely.
So this, yes, ma'am, this will be the last
I
year
know
that we
they
had any.
deadlines, too.
Okay, I started talking while you were talking. Could you repeat that last piece?
No, I said I'm aware that there was deadlines. You had to spend
Yes,
that
ma'am.
money.
Yes, and so the ESSER grants came out, there were three versions, ESSER 1, ESSER 3 came out before ESSER 2, and then ESSER 3 came out before ESSER 2. The district received $14.9 million in ESSER 3 and for $6.4 million in ESSER 2, and then $6 million in ESSER 1. So we have been able to use that, and I believe in the best interest of our student achievement. We've been able to take those funds and go from a C-rated district to a B-rated district with an A-rated campus. So there's a brag there, but as far as the end of the year for those funds, 2024 was the expiration of those, and there are grant requirement deadlines. So for this past fiscal year, January of '23 is when I did the final reporting for ESSER, for spending in ESSER 3 and 22, and then January of '24 is when I will do the last reporting for ESSER 3 and ESSER 2. As of now, we have received positive comments and testimonials from the feds on how we have maintained our spending and met compliance with ESSER. You're welcome. Any other questions?
No more questions? Thank you, Ms. Dillard.
You're very welcome.
We'll close it out.
Do I have a motion to adjourn? Brenda Olivares motions, Ms. Lisa Salazar seconds.
Aye.
Everybody, aye. Time is now 5:58 PM. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
didn't, I watched it, but that's okay.
So much traffic.
First page. She was like reading off and then I got turned off. So after that, it threw me off.
Oh, it does.
Finished it out though.
Oh, okay. Excuse me? Sure. May I?
Yes, sir, absolutely. Are we missing somebody? Are we missing somebody
No.
on here?
No, it's just right at the bottom because Mary Bell is under.
May I go and talk to him? He's gonna swear me in, but he doesn't know yet.
We'll get started here shortly, no worries.
They're looking for Mr. Tejeda.
Thank you.
He's right there.
They went to go get the constable.
They couldn't find him.
Yeah. Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for being here for this regular called school board meeting of the Southside Independent School District. Let the record show that there is a quorum present. Jesse Hernandez present, Ms. Katie Farias,
Present.
Ms. Brenda Olivares,
Present.
Ms. Margarita Morales,
Present.
Ms. Lisa Salazar,
Present.
Ms. Mary Silva,
Present.
Ms. Mary Unger Robles.
Present.
Thank you. The time is now 6:02 PM on Wednesday, May 17th, 2023. As President, I, Jesse Hernandez, call this regular meeting of the Southside Independent School District Board of Trustees to order. At this time, I'd like to invite Ms. Lisa Salazar to welcome our visitors and guests.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to welcome everyone, parents, students, staff, members, and and those that are present online, and our distinguished guest, Constable Ruben Tejeda, and Pleasanton ISD Board Member Ralph Unger.
Thank you, Ms. Salazar. At this time, if we could please stand for our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We can say it again. Just to redo.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. At this time, we'll go ahead and move on to new business. Item number one, administration of oath of office for newly elected board trustees. Superintendent Ramirez.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, staff, and community members. It's truly an honor today as our elected Board of Trustees are sworn in today. To assist in the administration of the oath of office, we have Ms. Dillard, Ms. Powers, and it's truly a privilege to have the Honorable Constable Ruben Tejeda, Precinct 1, also assisting in the swearing in of some of our Board of Trustees. Ms. Dillard, Ms. Powers, Constable Tejeda, welcome.
Welcome.
Good evening, thank you. So we have had the cancellation of the election, which happened March 22nd, 2023. The governing body received and accepted the certification of unopposed candidates from the authority responsible for preparing the ballots. The motion is to approve the oath of office for elected board members following the May 6, 2023 election due to the notice of cancellation in accordance of Section 2.053A, unopposed candidates for position 1, 2, 4, 6, and 7. I'm now going to invite Ms. Powers to come up to administer the oath of office, as well as Mr. Tejeda.
Thank you. Superintendent?
My apologies, we also, if we could have Mr. Ralph Unger to please come to the front. He will also be assisting us with the administration of the oath of office.
Welcome, Mr. Unger.
Ms. Margarita Morales, if you'll raise your right hand, please, and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Margarita Morales,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully execute the duties
that I will faithfully execute the duties
of the office of Southside ISD Board of Trustees, Position 1,
of the office of Southside ISD Board of Trustees, Position 1,
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect,
preserve and protect
and defend the Constitution
and defend the Constitution
and laws of the United States
and laws of the United States
and of this state, so help me God.
and of the state, so help me God.
Thank you. We'll sign right there, please. Thank you. And then we have one more oath. Okay. And again, if you'll repeat after me, I state your name.
I, Margarita Morales,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I have not directly or indirectly
that I have not directly or indirectly
paid, offered, or promised to pay,
paid, offered, or promised to pay,
contributed, or promised to contribute
contributed, or promised to contribute
any money or thing of value,
any money or thing of value,
or promised any public office
or promised any public office,
or employment for the giving
or employment for the giving,
or withholding of a vote
or withholding of a vote
at the election at which
at the election of which
I was elected, or as a reward to secure
or as a reward to secure
my appointment or confirmation,
my appointment or confirmation,
whichever the case may be,
whichever the case may be,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Right here. Okay. And then if you have family that want to come up to take pictures with you, you're more than welcome.
Congratulations.
Mary Silva, you're giving Mary Silva. Ms. Silva? This would be the first one. She signs it there. This is the second one. She will sign it there.
Raise your right hand. I
I, Mary Silva,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I have not
that I have not
directly or indirectly
directly or indirectly
paid,
paid,
offered,
offered,
promised to pay,
promised to pay,
contributed,
contributed,
or promised to contribute
or promised to contribute
any money
any money
or thing of value,
or thing of value,
or promised any public office
or promised any public office
or employment
or employment
for the giving
for the giving
or withholding
or withholding
of a vote
of a vote
at the election
at the election
at which
at which
I was elected
I was elected
or as a reward
or as a reward
to secure
to secure
my appointment
my appointment
or confirmation,
or confirmation,
whichever
whichever
the case may be,
the case may be.
so help me God. You read the oath. Raise your right hand. I
Mary Silva,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully
that I will faithfully
execute the duties
execute the duties
of the office
of the office
of Southside
of Southside
ISD Board of Trustees,
of Southside ISD
Board of Trustees, position number 2,
Position number 2
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will to the best
and will to the best
of my ability
of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
and laws of the United States
and laws of the United States
and of this state.
and of this state.
So help me
So
God.
help me God. Right here. Right here.
Very talkative.
I
Mary Bella
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I have not directly
that I have not directly
or indirectly
or indirectly
paid,
paid,
offered,
offered,
promised to pay,
promised to pay,
contributed,
contributed,
or promised to contribute
or promised to contribute
any money
any money
or thing of value,
or thing of value,
or promised
or promised
any public office
any public office
or employment
or employment
for the giving
for the giving
or withholding
or withholding
of a vote
of a vote
at the election
at the election
at which I was elected,
at which I was elected,
or
or
as a reward
as a reward
to secure
to secure
my appointment
my appointment
or confirmation,
or confirmation,
whichever the case
whichever the case
may be.
may be.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Right hand. I
I, Mary Bell Odubola,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will faithfully
that I will faithfully
execute the duties
execute the duty
of the office
of the office
of Southside ISD
of Southside ISD
Board of Trustees,
Board of Trustees,
Position 4,
Position 4
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will,
and will,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
preserve,
preserve,
protect,
protect,
and defend
and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
and laws of the United States
and laws of the United States
and of this state.
and of this state,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations. Ms. Salazar?
Well, he didn't know either. I didn't know he was going to be.
After the word I, state your name. I
So, no,
do solemnly swear that I have not directly or indirectly
paid,
Be staying good to me.
offered, promised to pay, contributed, or promised to contribute any money or thing of value, or promised any public office or employment for the giving or withholding of a vote at the election at which I was elected or as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation, whichever the case may be, so help me God. Read the, raise your right hand. I
Lisa El Salvador,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully
that I will faithfully
execute the duties
execute the duties
of the office
of the office
of Southside ISD
of Southside ISD
Board of Trustees,
Board of Trustees,
Position 6,
Position 6,
the state of Texas,
the state of Texas,
and will to the best
and will to the best
of my ability
of my ability
preserve,
preserve,
protect,
protect,
and defend
and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
and laws of the United States
of the United States
and of this state.
and of the state.
So help me God.
Are we gonna take a group photo? Yeah.
And then last is Katie Farias. I, Katie Farias, do solemnly swear that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, contributed, or promised to contribute any money or thing of value, or promised any public office or employment for the giving or withholding of a vote at the election at which I was elected, or as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation, whichever the case may be, so help me God. Okay. Next one. I, Katie Farias, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of Southside ISD Board of Trustees, Position 7 of the state of Texas, and will to the best of my ability preserve and protect and defend the Constitution and the laws of the United States and of this state, so help me God. Congratulations. Thank you, ma'am.
Do a group picture?
For once the reorganization depends on how it is, so they can have the officers involved. On the next one.
Thank you. So before moving on to the next item, I'd just like to take a moment of personal privilege and congratulate all our newly sworn-in trustees, not so new, right? But congratulations, and on behalf of myself and the entire community, thank y'all so much for your willingness to continue to serve. And I know, having been in this seat, it's not an easy thing to do. It takes a lot of time and commitment, but I know your heart's in the right place, so thank you very much for continuing to do that, and congratulations again. Okay, moving on to our next item, which is to discuss and consider elections of officers for our Board of Trustees. And at this time, we'll move on to, I think that's my item, right?
No, you do the election?
Yes, so, okay, we're gonna go ahead at this time to do, motions for the three different positions. We have the, position of secretary, vice president, and president for our board of trustees. And I'd like to take those in that order, and see if there's a motion for our board, secretary.
I'll make a motion for Brenda Olivares for secretary.
Okay, we have a motion for Ms. Olivares for board secretary. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so we have Ms. Brenda Olivares for board secretary. Ms. Katie Farias makes the motion. Ms. Margarita Morales seconds. Right. Okay, Ms. Farias?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Olivares?
Can't vote?
You abstain?
Well, I can't vote for myself, can I? Oh, I was abstaining, okay.
And Ms. Morales?
Yes.
Ms. Salazar? Ms. Silva?
Yes.
Ms. Robles?
Yes.
And I just hear that as yes. Motion carries. Congratulations, Ms. Olivares.
Thank you.
Moving on to, next item is consider the position of vice president. Are there any motions for vice president?
I make a motion to keep Katie Farias.
Okay, Ms. Margarita Morales makes the motion. Do I have a second?
I move
You-
to,
sec-
Ms. Salazar.
So you,
For vice president? For vice president.
so you have the motion is for Ms. Katie Farias. You're wanting to amend the motion?
I'm sorry?
You wanting to amend the motion?
No.
So there was a motion for Ms. Farias? Do you want to second or to amend it?
Nominate Ms.
Okay. So.
I think she fully understands the amendment, but can you explain it?
Yes. So we currently have a motion on the table for, that Ms. Margarita Morales made to elect Ms. Farias. And so I was asking for a second, but is there, we have to go through that full motion, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
but she can amend the motion.
Yep.
And then you can take another vote on the amendment.
Yes. So you're wanting to amendment for Ms. Salazar, right? Okay. So the amendment is a nomination for Ms. Salazar for vice president. Do I have a second?
For Ms.
For Ms. Salazar?
Second.
Okay. So we have, sorry, I'm trying to keep my notes here.
I wish I kicked off the table. Once it gets amended again.
Hold on one second. Give me 1 second. Trying to get my notes straight. Lisa Salazar. Ana Silva. Second. Robles. Okay, so again, just to make sure I'm straight, we have an amended motion for VP for Ms. Lisa Salazar. The motion was made by Ms. Silva, second by Ms. Robles. And at this time, we'll do roll call. Ms. Farias?
Abstain.
Abstain. Ms. Olivares?
Can I abstain?
You could do whichever you like.
Okay, I'll abstain.
Okay. Ms. Margarita Morales?
I'm gonna abstain. I'm sorry.
Okay. Ms. Lisa Salazar?
I'm gonna have to abstain.
Okay. Ms. Mary Silva?
Just do a neutral and do Mary Bell.
Yes.
Yes, okay. And, yes. Ms. Robles?
And this is for Katie, correct?
This is for Ms. Salazar.
Okay, I abstain.
Okay. Abstain. And that was for Ms. Robles.
Yes.
And I, Jesse Hernandez, will abstain as well. So motion does not carry. So we go back to the original motion. The motion is for Ms. Katie Farias for Vice President. And do I have a motion again for that?
Can I second
Or
Second.
we had the first one, that still stands.
Right, so I'll second.
And so the second one is Ms. Brenda Olivares. Okay, Ms. Farias?
Abstain.
Abstain. Ms. Olivares?
Yes.
Yes. Ms. Morales?
Yes.
Ms. Salazar?
I'll abstain.
Ms. Silva?
Abstain.
Ms. Robles?
Yes.
And I, Jesse Hernandez, yes. Motion carries with four and then 3 abstain, is that right?
Yes, sir. That's what I have.
Okay. Motion carries. Thank you. Congratulations. Okay, next item is a nomination for president.
I make a motion to nominate Jesse Hernandez as president.
Okay, Ms. Farias, you want to run this one?
Sure. Yes, absolutely. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Maggie Morales, second. We'll go through do we have a motion? I'm sorry.
No, just make sure that she
Oh, yes.
reports that you
Yes.
changed the gavel.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go through the roll. Jesse Hernandez?
Abstain.
I have a question.
Yes.
Sure.
When do we amend the motion? After the vote or before
We
the
can
vote?
amend it before.
Before the
Okay,
vote.
then I want to amend the motion to nominate Lisa Salazar as president.
Okay, I have an amendment to nominate Lisa Salazar as president. Okay. So now we're gonna vote for, do I do the amendment? I do the amendment first, right?
Yes.
We're gonna vote for do I have a second? Mary Silva seconds? Okay. So we'll go through the roll call.
Yes.
Okay, so Jesse Hernandez,
Abstain.
Katie Farias, abstain. Brenda Olivares,
Abstain?
Margarita Morales,
Abstain?
Lisa Salazar,
Abstain.
Mary Silva.
What is the motion for?
This is to vote,
Amend it.
the amended.
For Ms. Salazar.
Yes, okay. And Mary Ann Rhodes, yes, okay. So we have 2 yeses, 5 abstains. Okay. So the motion carries. No, sorry, fails. I will get this right in just a second. Okay, now we're going back to the first one, which we had a motion for Jesse, which was Brenda. And we had a second, which was, do we have a second? Maggie. Okay. So, we're going to go through the roll. Jesse Hernandez,
Abstain.
abstain. Katie Farias, yes. Brenda Olivares,
Yes.
Margarita Morales,
Yes.
Lisa Salazar,
On.
Ms. Hernandez.
I'm gonna abstain.
abstain, okay. Mary Silva. And Mary Unger Robles.
Abstain.
Abstain. So we have the motion, we have, hang on, let me get my math right, so I know.
It's still.
It's
four
through-
abstains. Yeah,
It still
like that.
fails.
Because there's 3 yeses
And through 4 abstains, yeah.
So the motion still does not carry.
So the motion does not carry. So we'll go through it again.
We have to nominate somebody else.
Yes.
I feel like out of three of everybody else.
Do we have a motion?
I don't. What are we doing now?
Well, we'll have to,
Still for
For
president.
president.
do we have a motion?
So I need some guidance here.
So you have the, yes, you may.
Okay. Can I do it, or?
You can do it or have somebody else do it.
Can I take us to executive session?
Yes.
Read that.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna move, the item, that we're discussing, to discuss and consider election to officers, that we go into closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code, Section 55107-4 for deliberation.
You need a
And
majority.
we need a motion,
Yes.
motion?
I'll make a motion.
Brenda,
Second the motion.
Maggie seconds. We'll go through the roll. Jesse?
Abstain.
Oh, are we, for the,
To go too close.
to go into the?
Yes.
Yes. Katie Farias, yes. Or
Yes.
Brenda Olivares?
Yes.
Margarita Morales?
Yes.
Lisa Salazar?
Yes.
Mary Silva? And Mary Unger Robles?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. The time is now 6:31, and we'll go into executive session.
Yes.
all the time.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience with us. At this time, let the record show that the time is now 6:52 PM, and we are back in general session. At this time, we'll continue on item number 2 on election of officers. And I would ask for, if there's a motion for the election of president.
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to select Jesse Hernandez as president.
I'll second it.
Okay. Ms. Lisa Salazar makes the motion. Ms. Brenda Olivares seconds. Ms. Farias?
Yes.
Ms. Olivares?
Yes?
Ms. Morales?
Yes.
Ms. Salazar?
Yes.
Ms. Silva?
Yes.
Ms. Robles?
Yes.
And I, Jesse Hernandez, will abstain. Motion carries. Okay. Now, do you want to do a picture?
Yes.
Okay.
You can bring 3 chairs? And then we'll do a one with the 5 that just got sworn in.
This is new.
Okay.
Yes.
President is in the middle, the vice president on one side, secretary on the other. And then, ladies, our Mary exactly how you are, kind of like she's like this, and then Miss Salazar, and then give me opposite like this. Yes, but not everybody. Okay, that's fine. Do it all the same. Ready? And then take at about 1 step to my left. Perfect. Okay, the 5 now, please. Just lower the first one in. Yeah, you take a chair. Take a chair. And then one more, everybody step to the left, please. Perfect. Are you ready?
Okay. Thank you. Moving on to item number 4, public comment. We do not have any public comment for our meeting today, so we'll move on to our consent agenda. Do I have a motion for approval of item 5, consent agenda item?
I make a motion to approve item 5 consent agenda.
I'll second.
Ms. Margarita Morales makes the motion. Ms. Lisa Salazar seconds. Ms. Farias?
Yes.
Ms. Olivares?
Yes?
Ms. Morales?
Yes.
Ms. Salazar? Ms. Silva?
Yes.
Ms. Robles?
Yes.
And I, Jesse Hernandez, yes, motion carries. Moving on to presentation, Board of Education hours. This one we need to review, right?
Yes, so that's when you go member by member and you announce the hours.
Okay. At this time, I'll be reviewing the board training hours for all the Board of Trustees. I just Hernandez have met the training with a total of 13 hours. Ms. Katie Farias has met as well with 20.75 hours. Ms. Brenda Olivares met with 101 hours. Ms. Margarita Morales met with 19.75 hours. Ms. Lisa Salazar has met with 41.75 hours. Ms. Mary Silva met as well with 40.75 hours. And Ms. Mary Unger Robles has also met with a total of 31 hours. And all board members are up to date on our training hours. Okay, moving on to item number C, presentation, senior appreciation recognition. Superintendent Ramirez?
Mr. Board President, we're very proud of the class of 2023 to celebrate our seniors. We have the high school principal, Mr. Malater, and Ms. Rincon.
Welcome, Mr. Malater and Ms. Rincon.
Good evening, Board President, Superintendent Ramirez, Board of Trustees. Before Ms. Rincon presents the video, I just want to give you a couple of accomplishments that our senior class has accomplished this year. One is that they've been awarded $7.8 million in scholarships. This is the highest amount that Southside High School's ever achieved, so it's a great representation of all the stuff our seniors have done over the last 4 years. They also, on Saturday, I got the pleasure of going to the graduation at the PAC for our seniors we had 62 seniors who got associate's degrees.
Wow.
That is also the highest number Southside High School's ever had, so those are great accomplishments. That equals to about over 3,700 college hours that our students, just those, and we have more than that, but just those students who leaving Southside High School have accomplished and leaving with, so that's a great accomplishment. So I just wanted to let you guys know that we're very proud of all they're done, and I'll let Mr. Cohn go.
It's these accomplishments and so many more that we are so proud of for the class of 2023. They've been a part of the tapestry and the videos that we've been doing, the events, the production work, the publications, and we couldn't be more proud to have talent like that showcase Southside. And now it's our turn to say how proud we are of the class of 2023. We have this humble video that we all worked on together to say just how proud we are of them. Please enjoy.
Class of 2023, we're so proud of all you've done, and we can't wait to see what you do in the future.
Congratulations, seniors! On behalf of the Southside ISD Technology Department,
Congratulations, class of 2023.
it's time to be innovative. Get out there and change the world.
You did it, graduates. Congratulations. We're all very proud of you from the custodial department.
Class of 2023, you inspire by having ambitious dreams and putting in the hard work to achieve them. Congratulations from the business office.
Class of 2023, you're an amazing example for others to follow. From the Human Resources Department, congratulations.
Congratulations, seniors. You did it. You have a bright future ahead of you. Congratulations again from the Facilities Department.
Congratulations, class of 2023 from the Special Programs Department. You're an inspiration.
It's been our honor keeping you all safe during your time here at Southside. Congratulations from the Police Department.
We're sending you our best wishes and success from the Transportation Department.
Your accomplishments will make our community better. Congratulations from the Facilities Department.
From the communications team at Southside ISD.
Congratulations, class of 2023.
Senior class of 2023, on behalf of the C&I department, congratulations.
Hard work, dedication, perseverance, commitment. You did it. Congratulations from Gallardo Elementary School.
Congratulations, class of 2023 from Pierce Elementary. We are extremely proud of you.
There's a bright future ahead of you. Congratulations from Freedom Elementary. This is an incredible milestone and you deserve the spotlight to celebrate. Congratulations from Heritage Elementary.
You did it, graduates. We knew you could. We are so proud of you from Matthew Middle School.
Seniors, congratulations from LaSoya Middle School. We are so excited for you and look forward to seeing all of your accomplishments in the future.
Sending you our best wishes for a happy and successful future from the athletic department.
Congratulations, class of 2023. The sky's the limit. Soar high, Cardinals.
Congratulations, class of 2023, from your Southside ISD board members.
Congratulations to the class of 2023.
Congratulations, seniors, from your Board of Trustees.
Hey seniors, Southside ISD Board Trustee Maggie Morales here, wishing you the best in your future endeavors. From one Southside alumni to another, go Cardinals, tackle the future and do amazing things.
Congratulations to the class of 2023 of Southside High School. We are so proud of you from the Board of Trustees. Looking forward to seeing what you all do in the future. Good luck.
Congratulations, class of 2023, from your Board of Trustees.
Hello, everyone. Jesse Hernandez, your school board president. Congratulations to the class of 2023. Great job, everyone. Congratulations to all our graduates. Okay, moving on to Southside Leadership Program, Superintendent Ramirez.
Mr. Board President, staff interested in building leadership capacity took part in a series of training that touched base in all aspects of administration. To recognize staff for taking part in this program, we have our HR Director, Ms. Flores.
Welcome, Ms. Flores.
And Charity Salinas.
Welcome.
Good evening, Board President, Superintendent Ramirez, Board of Trustees, Southside staff, and community. Our Southside leadership participants were nominated by their supervisors based on potential for leadership and education. The purpose of the program is to identify, train, support new and aspiring administrators for successful leadership to assist in meeting the district's needs for effective school leaders. The primary goals of the program are to develop instructional leadership competency, enhance leadership skills and knowledge, provide an overview of educational programs, and to foster a culture of empowerment and continuous improvement. This year's Southside SLT class of 2023 is made up of teachers, instructional coaches, a coordinator, and sessions were held every Tuesday of the second semester from 4:30 to 5:45. Each district department presented an overview of their departments, organizations, and responsibilities in order to provide a well-rounded view of administrator duties and leadership styles. All presenters provided an excellent leadership insight and shared their wisdom and experience to the class. Tonight, we would like to recognize the SLT class of 2023. If you are present, please step forward. Miss Maricela Bryant from Matthew Middle School. Miss Cindy Cantu, Gallardo Elementary. Miss Jessica Cardenas, Southside High School, she's not here this evening. Miss Loretta Flores, Southside High School, she wasn't able to attend either. Miss Rebecca Garcia, Southside High School. Miss Brianna Gomez, Gallardo Elementary. Miss Sabrina Gonzalez, Pierce Elementary. Miss Nancy Greathouse Hill, Matthew Middle School. Miss Paige Horner, Gallardo Elementary. Miss Daniela Romero, Gallardo Elementary. Miss Rita Rosales Alvarez, Pierce Elementary. And Mr. Jorge Topete, from the HR department. This was truly an amazing group, and it was an honor to be with you guys. Mr. Ramirez, would you like to share anything?
I thought we were going to take a picture.
We can take a picture. We can.
I have to say, I'm very proud of the group. We had the last session, and I'm hoping you all had a great time and learned a lot. I hear you had an amazing presenter that night. But we're very proud of you. For you to, have a long day and then come in for an additional hour and a half, 2 hours at times, and with the busy schedule that you have, and you came every session. So we're hoping in the future, with openings that, going through this training, you'll be prepared for such a position. So again, we're very proud of you, and on behalf of our board, and I know that they're just right now, knowing that, the work and the effort that you guys have put in, I can tell you we're all very proud of you. So keep it up.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, guys.
Okay, moving on to the Southside ISD Special Programs Department, Special Olympics Athletes, Superintendent Ramirez.
Mr. Board President, our Special Olympic athletes competed at the Special Olympics hosted by Somerset, and they were very successful. To recognize our student athletes, we have Mr. Douglas and Mr. Hyatt.
Welcome, Mr. Douglas, Mr. Hyatt.
Good evening, Board President, board members, Superintendent Ramirez. On behalf of Mr. Christopher Douglas and Dr. Ernesto Salinas, I, along with our staff, would like to honor and recognize our Southside ISD Special Olympics athletes who competed in the Somerset ISD track and field event on April 27th. This is actually the first time this event has been held since 2019 because of the pandemic, and there were over 1,000 athletes competing. Special thank you to our parents and guardians for supporting your students, especially the ones who showed up tonight. We appreciate that. I know it's late. Several were able to attend the event and help out. Also, thank you to Ms. Dillard, our CFO, Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Berlanga, Director of Transportation, and Ms. Luna in Transportation, all for making this happen. And thank you for our Special Olympics coaches, teachers, and paraprofessionals. And our district had approximately 107 athletes competing, and we will recognize each campus at a time. And I guess if the board members and Mr. Ramirez can come out and we can take a picture, we'll do it by campus. So it's Gallardo athletes first, along with Mr. James. And every athlete had earned at least one medal. And then we had a relay race team at Matthew who went to second place out of 21 districts. Just while they're up here, I'm going to call some names. Nicholas Lara, if you can raise your hand. Josiah Martinez. Isaiah Bazan. Bailey De Hoyos. Emery Huerta. Rosie May Nunez. And Ethan Rivera. Congratulations, guys. There's a group shot of Gallardo up there. Now we're going to invite heritage athletes to come in. And here's a more comprehensive list of the Gallardo athletes. There's heritage at the event. And we have heritage with Principal Puente. Also Academic Dean, Ms. Wright. And we have Scarlett Estrada, Caden Patino, Victor De La Garza, Alfonso Garcia, Mackenzie Patino, Scarlett Patino, Darian Robles, and Emma Wright. Thank you, Heritage. And next, we'll invite Freedom to enter with Miss Selena Puente, the principal, and Miss Hasty, the art facilitator. Alejandro Aguilera, Dina Barra, Jacqueline Serna, Gael de Anda Garcia, Angela Rubio, Kenneth Salinas,
Okay, come on guys, come on inside. Thank you. Thank you. Good seeing you.
Okay, now we'll invite JL Matthew Middle School. Mr. Martell is principal. So first, with Matthew, first of all, I'd like to say that we had a relay race team, and Luis Martinez, raise your hand. Don't be shy. He was one of them on there, and Chris Vieira, and Jeremiah Ramirez, and Michael Pineda. And they placed second out of 21 districts there, and I confirmed that with, there's your Matthew coaches, Sandejo, and they vary in the picture too. Also, Carly Bartlett is here, she participated, and Grace Boyer. And last but not least, the big leagues, Southside High School. So we have Coach Ernest Hernandez, Mr. Malater, principal, and we have Ryan Cortinas. Let me skip to the high school here. There are some of the Matthew folks on the screen there. So Ryan Cortinas, Angelina Garcia, Lucian Davis, Pedro Garcia Guerrero, and Jacob Lott. Uziel Torres.
Carrington, y'all want to come out of the picture?
Are you in there? Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, and have a great summer, guys.
I like your dress. I like
Thank you. It's cute. I like our little princesses. We have little princesses.
Oh, they're so cute.
Yeah.
I already told them, they already.
Oh, I know, I can feel the difference already. Oh, sir, the TV looked like it was gonna fall down. They moved it and it kind of started shaking.
Swaying.
It's swaying over there, so.
Can I check it real quick, Michelle?
Sorry, Jesse. I saw it go like this. That's all we need is that.
Oh, we're good.
Okay. So congratulations again to all of our athletes. Moving on to Southside ISD Education Foundation Top Campus Students Honor. Superintendent Ramirez.
Mr. Board President, hard work and dedication should always be recognized. To recognize the top 2 students of each campus, we have Ms. Rincon and the Education Foundation.
Welcome again, Ms. Rincon.
Good evening, Board President, Board Trustees, Superintendent, our communities here and online. We are so proud to be representing the Education Foundation and Southside ISD. The top student at each campus is a special initiative that was brought to us by Superintendent Ramirez in 2021. This is the third year we'll be doing this, thanks to a grant in which the Education Foundation helps to fundraise every year. This is an honor awarded to each of the top 2 students at every campus, including Menchaca. And because of the work we do together, each of the students will be receiving a computer. The Menchaca students will be getting Kindle Fires. So we're very excited to announce these students that were chosen based off their top performance in academics. First up is from Menchaca. Our 2 top students are Ivy Miller and Aubrey Rubio. They are both awarded a Kindle Smart tablet. From Gallardo Elementary, our 2 top students are George Villarreal and Sebastian Rosales. From Pierce Elementary, our 2 top-ranked students are Bo Payton and Jeremiah Verdin. These students are the top-ranked in their entire campus. Just a reminder, at Heritage Elementary, our 2 top students are Jorge Hernandez and Yarlili Nunez. From Freedom Elementary, we have Haley Faz and Michaela Ramos.
Oh, that's cute.
From La Soya Middle School, we have Jeremiah Garcia and Talia Ibarra. From Matthew Middle School, we have Tyler Cheatham and Shelby Smith. Congratulations. Our Southside High School top 2 students are our valedictorian, Alan Andretti, and Nicholas Ramirez is our salutatorian. Both cannot be with us today because they are at the band recital as we speak, but they received from the Education Foundation a swag bag filled with great merchandise and Apple Mac Air books. Congratulations to you all. We're very, very proud of you.
All right, Aubrey Rubio.
Congratulations, guys. Great job. Congratulations.
I like them. Nice. Good job. I saw her at the baseball or the softball game for the girls. I was like, keep touching your hair. Touching your hair. I told her, I probably don't like me doing that. It's beautiful. It was close.
I feel like when everybody leaves, it's gonna be full. Yeah.
It's way in the future.
The one in forward, is that the one where Brenda's graduating?
Congratulations again. So moving on to bilingual dual language students, Superintendent Ramirez.
Mr. Board President, the district has the first cohort of dual language students who will graduate from Southside ISD. To recognize these students, we have the Director of Bilingual Programs, Ms. Bermea.
Welcome, Ms. Bermea.
I was going to say all of you, but yes. Board members, Mr. President, Mr. Ramirez, and all guests this evening. So we are very excited this evening to share additionally that we are a dual language district. And with that, we have been very, very fortunate to build the program all the way up to 12th grade. So we do have dual language offerings all the way up to 12th grade. This year, we are going to celebrate by having seniors that are graduating that are bilingual, biliterate, bicultural. And so there, we have 16 students that will be recognized for dual language distinctions on their diplomas. And this is very critical because it's not just being part of the program, it also means that they met certain criteria set out by the state and the district. In addition, we're going to have 4 students of those 16 that are going to be receiving their performance acknowledgement in biliteracy and bilingualism. And again, it's a very stringent criteria that they have to meet. So I want to share with you first that we had a celebration last Wednesday, and what we decided to do was we figured that since we're graduating our first group, it was a great opportunity to celebrate all our kiddos as they transition from kinder to elementary, 5th grade, of course, elementary to middle school, and middle school to high school. So we invited them to come and celebrate. Our goal is to inspire and encourage and for them to see what they have in the future and to, again, emphasize that we are a dual language district. So last Wednesday, here are our kinder students that attended that evening. There's actually 123 kindergarten dual language students moving up. Here are our 5th grade students. We have 73 of them moving up, and these are the ones that joined us last week. 8th grade, we have, I want to say 43 or 63, I think it's 63, 8th graders that are also moving on in dual language. And these are the ones that celebrated with us last week. And here's some of our senior pictures. Again, they are going to be getting they received the cord, multicolored cord for their dual language distinction. And then in addition, those 4 receiving the bilingual performance acknowledgement will also receive their stoles in multicolors. I'm all stuck on the multilingual, sorry. And here again, they are graduates that were able to attend last week. And we were very fortunate to have, as you can see a couple of pictures here, the First Lady of San Antonio was there that evening and gave an inspiring words to all attendees, the students and parents. So we do have our some graduates with us this evening. I'm going to name them, and then if you don't mind, I'd also like to name the ones that are not present this evening. So not present is Christian Patrick Tefts, Alexandra Romero, who is also in the top 10 at Southside, Lauren Grace Palitza, Flor Acelia Morales, Ruby Areli Mendoza, Alejandro Lopez, Christian Alejandro De Sardi, Carolina Herrera, Kylie Garcia, Cesar Omar Garcia, and Fernanda Jocelyn Castro Contreras. They're not with us, but those are our dual language 16 students, 12 students, I'm sorry, because we have 4 here, 12 students. And then with us this evening, we do have Desiree Lynn Alejandro. Buenas tardes. Melissa Desiree Valderrama. Ana Gabriela Correa Gobea. And Ms. Jocelyn Segura, also in the top 10. Okay. Ready for pictures now? Mr. Casalusma, oh, this is this.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Okay, moving on to Campus Student VIP Award winners for April. Superintendent Ramirez.
Mr. Board President, to recognize our student VIPs who have exhibited good discipline, grades, and attendance, we have Ms. Rincon and Ms. Gallego.
We need like a button where it goes down.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Good evening again, Mr. President, Board Trustees, Superintendent Ramirez, and our family members here and online. This is yet another initiative that was started in 2021, and we're very proud to be showcasing our 18th class of VIPs. And we still have one more to go for this academic school year. Our VIPs demonstrate the best part of our Cardinals here at Southside ISD. They exhibit the best behavior, attendance, academic performance, and overall spirit of being a Southside Cardinal. And this is a collaboration between our Department of Core Student Services, and here to announce our Cardinal VIPs for the month of May is Ms. Alejandra Gallego.
Good evening. For Menchaca, we have Giovanni Perez. For Freedom, we have Adeline Rivera. For Gallardo, we have Francisco Gil. For Heritage, we have Caitlin Cantu. For Pierce, we have Marley Higgins. For La Soya, we have Maximus Gonzalez. For Matthew, we had Gerardo Guevara. For the high school, we have Alan Andrade, who is attending his band concert tonight.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, guys.
Okay, moving on to Accelerated Reader Campus winner and AR millionaires for April and May. Superintendent Ramirez.
Mr. Board President, to announce the campus with the most AR points and with the highest participation, we have our English and Language Arts Coordinator, Ms. Stone.
Welcome, Ms. Stone.
Good evening, Mr. President, board members, community members that are live and in person and on Facebook. Here's our report for AR. So for our points, the high school, 22,350 points for the month of April.
Can't get away.
For participation, we have Freedom, again, with 97%. So for this month, we had 56 new AR Word Millionaires. And I'm going to call the names of the ones that are present with us tonight in no particular order. So we have Emmett Perez, Giovanni Andrade, sorry. Bo Payton, Ricardo Cantu, and Jocelyn Reyes. Okay, thank you.
Good job, guys.
Congratulations. So at this board meeting, we're also going to honor our top student readers from each individual campus. So from Freedom, we have Michaela Ramos, 5th grade. From Gallardo, we have Jonathan Guerrero from 4th grade. You're gonna come right over here. From Heritage, we have Jorge Hernandez. From Pierce, we have Jocelyn Moreno. From La Soya, we have Braden Gonzalez. From Matthew, we have Liliana Boreal. And from the high school, we have Amber Monsivais. So they all received a special gift, but we also want to honor our top reader for the district, who is Braden Gonzalez. And just a special note, Braden is almost at 10 million AR words just this school year. He told me he hasn't hit it yet.
Congratulations, guys. And this is our competition point totals for the year so far as of May 1st.
Okay, moving on to attendance awards for April. Superintendent Ramirez.
Mr. Board President, to recognize the campus with the highest attendance, we have our PEAMS Director, Ms. Corina Sanchez.
Good evening, Board President, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Ramirez, and community. Whew, I'm gonna take a deep breath. It's kind of warm in here. Southside continues to promote attendance awareness for students and campuses. This evening, we're recognizing a new ADA winner. I think our elementaries are taking their turn around. And we are acknowledging Pierce Elementary for their month of April, sorry about that. Mrs. Gonzalez and her team ended the month of April with a 92.73%. No, she's good.
Nice job. Okay, moving on to our next item, special education cyclical monitoring report. Superintendent?
Mr. Board President, the district had a special program cyclical review conducted by the Texas Education Agency. Mr. Douglas and Mr. Hyatt will review the findings.
Welcome, Mr. Douglas. Mr. Hyatt?
Good evening, Board President, Board of Trustees, Mr. Ramirez. I'm Christopher Douglas, Director of Special Special Programs here with my coordinators, Dr. Ernesto Salinas and Mr. Hyatt. Every 6 years, TEA does a cyclical review for districts within the entire state. And so Southside ISD, we were up for ours in this last year, this last spring. And although it is not a requirement of TEA that we report this to the board, we thought it was important that we share the findings from the cyclical review. And as I said, so when we look at the cyclical review, they are looking at, they're evaluating our special education programs and our dyslexia programs within the district. TEA randomly selects 24 folders, or student folders from special education and 7 folders from dyslexia. And that's based on our student population. And that's where they get those numbers to select those students. And are randomly selected. This is our timeline. Although our cyclical review officially started in January, we went through a policy review with TEA starting in September, where they reviewed all of our policies related to special education and dyslexia. And that started in September. Then the actual review itself started in January through March with an on-site visit from TEA. So we had 3 days in which we had 4 monitors from the state that were here within the district visiting our campuses, meeting with parents, meeting with teachers. Did not meet with students, but they got to see the students in action in the classrooms. Following that following that on-site review, we had a 10-day clarification period where anything that they saw or had questions about, we had 10 days to reply back to them with any clarifications that they may have had. And then the final report was submitted on the 28th of April. So when we look at the special education, these are the 7 areas, but not limited to these 7 areas that they looked at in special ed. So they looked at child find, evaluation, FAPE, IEP development, IEP content, the IEP implementation, state assessment, if we held properly constituted ARD meetings, and transition. And for dyslexia, they looked at these components. They looked at procedures, communication, any of the screenings that we do. We do screenings for kinder and first grade. Our reading instruments, evaluation and identification, the instruction of dyslexia within the district, and progress monitoring. And before I move forward, I wanted to say that when they came for the on-site interview, they visited Gallardo, Heritage, Mathey, and LaSoya. Those are the 4 campuses that they randomly selected to visit for the on-site review. So from the report, these are the successes that the monitors have pointed out. They pointed out that our child find requirements are very good, that we're able to identify, locate, as you all are aware, that our numbers in special education are increasing. And so we're definitely finding that, and the stakeholders understood that. Parent involvement and implementation of IEP meetings. We've definitely seen an increase of parent participation in our IEP meetings. COVID had a part to play with that because we were able to do virtual ARD meetings, and now moving forward, we still give that opportunity or that option for parents if they want to have a virtual meeting to be able to participate or definitely come in person. We really like for them to come in person, but if they aren't able to come in person, we still accommodate them to participate virtually. And then one of the other successes that they pointed out is that our continuum of services in our district, from the least restrictive to the most restrictive, are available to our students in special education. when we're looking at dyslexia, these are the two things that they pointed out that the dyslexia monitor pointed out was the parent education program, that we provide information and resources to our parents, and that we provide multiple resources to our parents. And that played a large part into our collaboration this year with the bilingual department in our parent symposium. So here are the findings of all of that they looked at from our district. These are the findings that TEA has noted for our district. And any of the findings that they find within the district, we have to make those corrections and report those back to TEA. So one of the first ones was IEP development. What that looks like is a goal is written and the progress should match the goal. What they were seeing was that, I'll give you an example. If a goal was written at 80%, the progress should monitor or should be measurable to that 80%. So if Chris's mastery is at 80%, then my progress, if I'm not at 80%, it needs to show that I'm at 75%. What they were seeing is that it showed Chris is doing well. So making sure that our progress was measurable, okay? IEP content, that was showing that we had of the folders that they the folders that they reviewed, it showed that we had one of them that did not make the annual date due to rescheduling. And so because we did not make that annual date, that shows us that was a finding that they showed. And so one of the things that we are doing now is definitely making sure that we're planning for IEP meetings to be held within at least 3 weeks before that due date. So that gives us cushion if we need to reschedule. And then the last one was, excuse me, the last one was the implementation of Senate Bill 89, and that was due to inadequate documentation of services during COVID. And so if there were students that needed services during COVID, of the folders that they reviewed, they found that there were some that weren't adequately documented that we have services. So with that, we're going back, looking at those students, holding IEP to address those findings. And then of course you can see there that we did not have any findings for dyslexia. And one of the things that we also, when it comes to looking at the findings, that these were common findings within the region, Region 20. These three here were common findings. Okay. And then the last one, it's a report only. It's a survey that that we send out to stakeholders, and you can see that the respondents, the number of respondents are a little bit low. Unlike other surveys that we send out through TEA, this one in particular, as a district, we are not able to monitor. Previous and other surveys that we send out, we are able to monitor the percentage of participation and then continue to do push. With this one, we send it out, it goes out through district-wide, and hence we have some low findings. But one of the things that we've noticed that is an area that we definitely want to focus on is the engagement, and that is making sure that that our parents, our teachers, both special ed and general education, are engaged in special education and the training and giving anything that they need.
Mr. Douglas, can you go back a couple of slides? Right there. On the special education, you mentioned for IEP content that there was one folder that was found to be missing content, is that right?
That folder, the IEP meeting was not held within the annual date. So if the meeting was to be held May 17th, the meeting was held May 18th.
One of 20?
Of the 24.
Of the 24, they found one.
Yes.
What about IEP development? How many did they find?
Of the IEP development, there were 3.
Three. Okay. And for the implementation of the SB 89?
Of the SP 89, of those, it was the 24 folders.
So there was just none of that was implemented?
Well, actually, when we went back, there were some that it was documented, but it was not seen by the monitor, and so we weren't able to go back. But if they find one finding, then they would report it, even with one.
So I'm trying to grasp where did we miss our students, right? And what are they lacking? What did we not provide them that we need to make them whole, right? And
So when we had those meetings to discuss COVID instruction during that time, those meetings were held, and it was discussed where we lacked is that if it was needed, it was documented and services provided. There was not adequate information to say that Chris did not need it, and so that's where we missed it.
So, if I may, Mr. Board President, so on the rescheduling, it was the parent that had to reschedule several times, so
Yes.
we missed that deadline. With the 24 folders on the SB 89, the simple statement of that the student did not need any services was not included.
Right.
So because of that, all 24 were cited as not having that documentation. It was missing that one statement that the student did not need the SPED services. So that's what was missing. And for the IEP development.
It was 3, and it was the progress, not measurable when we looked at progress.
So on that one, there wasn't an actual percentage put to the progress that the student or the teacher was seeing. They were just saying that the student was doing better and saying how the student was doing better, but not an actual percentage. And TA wants an actual percentage.
Or it could be in a percentage, but it has to be measurable. It can be a percentage of, like I said, 80%, 90%, or 3 out of 5. Whatever the measurement is in the goal, it needs to be equivalent to that in the progress to show that they're meeting or not meeting progress.
So going back to the SB 89, so all 24, we did not stamp that they did not need services?
Correct.
So we're saying that every one of those, none of those students needed services?
I didn't hear the
We're
last
saying
one.
that none of those students needed services?
They did not.
Out of the-
Right, but the statement did not have that on there.
I just find it hard to believe that 100% of the sample did not need services. Is that true, or?
Of the sample that they had, yes. Of
I guess if
the
I'm thinking
district, it's not.
statistically, right, then that means 100% of our students did not need services, so that's.
So from that sample of, right now, what's the percentage? 12% of our student population are receiving services?
Yeah.
So from the sample that they got, 24, testing is done for the students to find out whether they need the services or not. From the sample that TA came and selected, those 24 folders, the department in their testing showed that they did not need any services. But, there's hundreds more. It just happened that those 24 that they selected did not need service.
And when we're going back, because we have to go back to full art, so you can't do an amendment or anything like that. So when we go back to full art, it is discussed, and if they are indeed still, if there are some questions, then we would provide. So based on the folders that we turned in at that time, correct, they were not needing services. Going back and addressing it to show our documentation, if there is some that will, I don't know that right now, they're still in the process of completing those IEP meetings, but once we find that out, then we would get them the services.
And who's responsible for completing these folders?
For completing the folders, it's our facilitators and the team of the teachers and us.
And who's auditing the folders?
The auditing of the folders comes from the facilitators as well as this team here.
Okay, and how often do y'all go and check the folders?
Check them at least weekly, so at least weekly as they come in.
All right.
And previously in the cyclical reviews as they've gone along, they would give you the number, and they would tell you 24 folders, and we pick the folders. Now they have started doing the random folder selection. So I think we're the second round that has started the random folder selection.
Ms. Morales?
Vacuous, but are we going back to review the rest of the folders and ensuring that there are no more mistakes for
Yes,
future
we
sample
are putting
sizes?
procedures in place, and we're going back and reviewing those folders. And as well with the Senate Bill 89, because it was related to COVID, it ends this year, so we won't be addressing any COVID moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Salazar?
Was the 24 files that were left without this implementation of SB 89, was that software generated or was that hand generated?
These,
The files?
Were they randomly selected through?
No. Were they software generated? Because I know before you would go into testing and everything would be in the software. So that's what I'm asking. Was the software used for that?
yes, the software is used for our IEP meetings.
Okay, so the software itself didn't have anything that had that implementation, correct?
Right, and so
For you
we
to cover.
needed to put the statement, yes.
So for your CAD, how did you do that for your CAD, for your corrective action?
We are in our corrective action now, and so what we're doing is going back, looking at the IEP meetings, and then putting the statement within our meetings, and then submitting it back. We submit our front page, we submit the signature page, and we submit the page that addresses Senate Bill 89.
Okay, and then the IEP development, this was the exact thing that I talked about at the last meeting, where we're not keeping up with the meets and the mastered.
And-
You know, that's a huge, and I mean, my son graduated in 14, and we're still not where we need to be with that. So that's a huge concern, because I know that a lot of our children are able to master things, and the parents aren't aware to question or to actually come and say, hey, he can do that, so why haven't you already said that he could do that? So there's a disconnect somewhere, and, you know, I don't know what we need to do to help that progression along.
And I will address that. And that is something that we are working on, and that was something that we had discussed previously with TEA during our targeted review. And we are implementing, well, we've already implemented, but we're working with, we use a program called Goalbook that helps us establish those criteria and then doing the progress monitoring. As a matter of fact, it just so happens that the 24 or the 3 folders of that group, we're still going through that cycle, but we've already started to address and clean those up to make sure that it's just not saying Chris is doing well, but Chris is doing 3 out of 5, as opposed to making sure that we're mastering.
Right,
But
so
yes, we are definitely addressing that.
So you're going to a targeted number, but the other issue is that, you know, I don't know, my concern is just, what do you need from us to get where you need to be? So, you know, in reference to the communication with the parents and the child itself, you know, being able to master and be, you know, be a productive citizen as everybody else has the right to be, correct?
Yes, and if I may, I think that the board, by asking that these reports be done at every board meeting, I think it makes sure that the community is aware, parents are aware of what's happening in the department, and what are the deficiencies in the department and what needs to be addressed. And it's good for the department to have that oversight to make sure that this is continuous. It's not a one-time meeting and that's it, it's forgotten. So by doing that, and I have to say, and not because they're here, but these 3 individuals really work hard, and they've been included in the accountability where we go and we break down the student and how the student has performed and whether they're in approaches, meets, and masters. The only thing is that we weren't reporting that to the board. We have to take all that into account because it goes into accountability. So the board direction of us making sure that it's the all students and also comparing our SPED population to our all students. So I think that by the board moving in that direction and having us do that, I think that it's going to assist you know, everyone from the student to the parent to the department and making sure that everybody's held accountable. So I think that we're heading in the right direction. In the visit, TEA did come and they met with directors, they met with me. At the debrief at the end of the session, they shared everything that they had seen and all the conversations that they've had. And I can honestly say that the department is heading in the right direction. We still need a lot of work, and we need to recognize that, but we're taking a step in the right direction. And I think it's just a matter of time that, you know, everything comes together.
Do we have enough support staff in that department in order to move forward with the students that we have?
We are doing the staffing that we're looking at by campus, and we're going to do it by department. We have visited with the department, Mr. Douglas, Dr. Salinas, Mr. Hyatt, and the report from our last meeting, it seemed that, you know, there was some vacancies that needed to be filled.
So we are addressing that, and so we're making sure that we, because like you said, our numbers are growing, and our staff needs to grow to support that.
Correct.
Yeah. And I will say, when you said, you know, what is it that we need, or how can we do better? I think, and my philosophy is that they're general ed students first. The more that we expose them in the general ed curriculum, the more that the general ed curriculum is going to improves, definitely our special ed students will improve as well.
But we've always seemed to have that correctly done on the flow with our elementary schools. It's our middle school and our high school where we lack the fluid movement. So that's something that, you know, it just seems like they're all integrated and they're all lovey-dovey at elementary, right? And then at middle school is when they really get to be segregated.
Not as much anymore.
Okay.
They are definitely, yeah.
So, mine wasn't, so I mean, but I wasn't involved.
Right, but no, they are, even in secondary, our students are included in the general ed classrooms. Unless they are in a unit as far as a lid or behavior, they are included with the general ed peers. And even those students that are in lid and in the behavior unit, they get exposure not just at PE, not just at lunch. They get exposure into classrooms where they get to interact with their peers.
Okay, because that was my next question. Okay.
Yeah, so it's not just a fluff exposure. They are being exposed all around.
In career technology.
Yeah.
I think they all get that.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. I'm not sure if I heard it right, but you mentioned when you were talking about the implementation of the SB 89 that you were going to go back and review those records. I just want to make sure you're not reviewing just those records that you were audited on. I want to make sure that all our students
Correct.
are going to be
Correct. For TEA, we have to do the ones that were in the review, but well, we're end of the year, but as we're going through there, we are definitely looking at all the folders from the COVID year. And again, it won't, because it ends this year, Senate Bill 89 will no longer be a part of the IEP process.
Any other questions?
Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, moving on to turf update, Superintendent Ramirez.
Mr. Board President, the stadium turf is nearing the end of its life cycle. We have Coach Vincent, Coach Locke, and Ms. Dillard with a presentation to give us a status report on the turf.
Good evening, welcome.
Good evening, Mr. President, Board of Trustees, Mr. Ramirez. I'm Coach Vincent, and I'm in charge of our athletic facilities, the upkeep and the maintenance of it. And I'm here tonight to report on my findings after my maintenance review of the field that I do yearly. And it's come to the end of its life cycle. I've had it tested 3 times this year. Overall, it's passed twice, and the 3rd time it failed. But there's other sections of our field that are done with their life cycle. It's my opinion, and if you look at the stuff that you have, that it is time for us to replace it. But I want you to understand that it's not just football that uses that field. We've got ROTC, we've got soccer, we've got band, we've got cheer, we've got our junior Cardinal football, we've got baseball, softball, pep rallies, middle school playoff games. We use it for community events such as the burning of the S, and our summer movie nights. This past summer, we had a huge Canadian league come down and they played on all of our fields, which was, I think, a great deal for Southside, and it's just time that I think for our students and our athletes that are on that field, that it's best that we replace it. But that's my findings from my annual maintenance review. So, do you all have any questions?
So from here, is there, from the 10 points that were checked, were all 10 points were bad?
No, sir. It's in the findings. There are 5 sections of the 10 that failed 2 out of the 3 times. Of course, the 50-yard line, I think, is the main one.
I have a question. Will the new turf that will be, I guess, implemented be the same as what we're using right now? No,
That
what
would
we,
go before bid, correct? Ms. Dillon,
No, like, is it the
that
same
go up for
type?
bid, correct?
No, it won't be because the company that put ours in went bankrupt.
well, no, like, is it the same material, the same? Is that what we're looking
The
at?
actual turf was put in 2014, and so the upgrades and the focus of the actual turf. So it will be an artificial turf if we move forward with replacing it, but as far as it being the exact same thing, it will be similar, but based on the current market for artificial turf. Does that answer your question?
Yes, because I think back when I was like in elementary, we had actual turf that wasn't artificial, and then we moved to artificial turf. Yeah, okay.
What's the expected useful life of turf?
So in general, the expected useful life is 8 to 10 years. This particular one had an 8-year warranty based on the vendor who installed it. So 2014 and 8 years, now we're in 2023, so we're past the 8-year warranty.
As far as injuries, have we had any injuries that we've attributed to the issue with the turf?
No, we have not.
No, not football.
No, not anything out of ordinary, not anything out of
And
ordinary.
we've had injuries, but not, I don't think.
So the question we're answering is, were there any injuries that can be directly correlated to the turf based on this GMAX test? No, sir. We have traditional, regular routine injuries for sports-related injuries, but nothing that's going to be directly related to the failure of the GMAX.
The GMAX test is run with all the concerns with concussions. That's why they have the GMAX. That's why you have the GMAX test. And they told us when we got the turf, that it was, well, they didn't tell me, they told our superintendent at the time that it was an 8-year warranty. Nobody knew they were gonna go bankrupt 2.5 years later. So that warranty kind of went out the window when they went bankrupt. But we used at the time the same turf that was laid in the Alamo Dome by AstroTurf. And the Alamo Dome thought so much of it that in 5 years they rolled theirs up and went with another company. But it's just the fibers wasn't the best, and that's the problem because it was on a maintenance schedule and it was swept once a week in football and soccer seasons, and then every other week after that, after those seasons that were completed. But it gets to the point now where we can't sweep it because we lose. If you go out right now with the rain we had, there's piles of the turf fiber just lined up because it's out of it's sewn in, so it's gone. And so we did have a deep clean. had a deep clean. They recommend after 6 or 7 years, have it one deep clean to get it go. But the company that we used,
He told us that we could not
Do it again.
because the fibers, when they do it, they run tines down in it to loosen the fibers.
And magnets.
As they dropped the tines down, they started pulling fiber up because it was towards the end of the life cycle. I can't have my guys sweep it anymore because it's just like mowing it. When we sweep it, it just pulls the fibers up, so we can't even sweep the field anymore.
it's just, it's at the end of the cycle. It's 9 years, we're going on 10, and they probably, they go, any company will go 8 to 10 and tell you that. And most people, after 8 years, they start looking to replace it.
What's the expected cost to replace it?
So based on just the research, we're looking at anywhere between 600,000 to 750,000. I know that, but that's at today's times. I mean, that's just what we're trying to look at for artificial turf.
Ms. Morales?
What would be the turnaround? And then would the students have an additional practice field in the meantime?
Speaker.
The time to get it is going to depend on how long it takes us to get the bid out. Because once we get the bid process out, then they have to order it with our logos and stuff in it, and it's going to take 4 to 6 weeks to install it once they get the turf in. We do have additional practice facilities. It'd be the grass field down by the soccer field, or we could use LaSoya's field during that time also. But both those fields are playable.
I was told by one company that it would be a 45 to 60-day turnaround, depending on weather. But the good news is here is that the foundation underneath is already, what takes so long when you first lay it down is the foundation. You have to come in and the rocks and everything underneath. But that's already done. So that's an expense, because I think it was 1.1 million when we put it in. And now we're just talking about the layer of turf. So it doesn't have to, you don't have to do the groundwork. That's a big part of it. The drainage and the groundwork is already done.
Would that save us any money in the long run, since we already have that foundation laid out? It will,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
good to know.
Any other questions? Ms. Salazar?
I don't have a question, it's kind of a comment. If we're gonna go out and spend that kind of money, though, I think that we need to limit the usage of that to other individuals. So, because that also creates wear and tear. I mean, it's not just our kids using it, right? The community and the rest, I mean, they ultimately help pay for it. But as far as having big events here that, uses it, nobody's gonna take care of it like we do, right? So I feel like we need to kind of monitor that if we're gonna make this type of expense.
I will say something, though, that has changed. For years, we had one middle school, all right? And we played all the games, because we played on Saturdays, football-wise, I'm talking. And all day, and the little youth, and the youth Cardinals, they all played Saturday all day. And now we don't play our junior high because we have two, and we don't play on Saturdays anymore, play on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. We do not use the field anymore for a junior high, and those functions, we use their grass fields so they can play at their campuses. So that is gonna help. But you're right. You're right about the usage.
I mean, I get that, you let big teams come in and our name gets out there, so what? I mean, it doesn't do us any good, so what? I mean, you as coaches can bring in, individuals to look at our kids and see what kind of kids that we have. So, I just see that we need to monitor the usage of it.
I have a question. By grass fields, do you mean the practice fields that they use like for intramural sports?
You're talking about on their campuses?
Yes, for like the middle school and high school?
LaSoya and Matthew both have game fields, their own game fields that are manicured and done just like I do any of them. They both are, you'd be impressed if you walked out on them, I promise you.
Well, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the old practice fields in the south end of
Down by the ag field?
No, those are used for intramurals, and if we have a problem in scheduling, sometimes we'll use those fields.
Yes.
If we run into a line. But they have their own competition, pretty nice. And Sawyer's is nice, Matthew's got a whole lot better at Houston. It's nice now.
Silva, you have a question?
The company you all are looking to go with, what is their, I've read where the lifetime of artificial turf is 8 to 15 years. What kind of warranty will this company offer?
I think
Well,
we're
to-
going out for bid, right?
Yes, we would be going out for a bid and solicitation, and so it would take 3 months. And so what we're looking for, Coach Locke as well as Coach Vincent will be involved with Mr. Garza to set that up with the expectations of what they're looking for. So we do not have a vendor in mind at the moment. This was just an information item to share with you what the maintenance annual report was from Coach Vincent as the athletics facilities coordinator, and to share with you that we do have kind of a range of what we're looking for if replacement is the direction that we go. I will add that if we are going to limit the fields, the access to the fields, that will reduce some of the options for city bond community venues because, for support to fund it. So if we limit access, then it's 100% 199 fund. Nothing wrong with that, just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page, that we were looking at various different funding sources to move forward as well.
So Superintendent, go ahead.
So if I may, so yes, if with permission by the board, we would like to go and go out for bids. In the meantime, Ms. Dillard would apply for a Parks and Recreation grant that could possibly pay for this. And if we do get approved, it requires that the community have access to the field. It says the community, not Canadian teams, not, professional, semi-professional teams. So with that, yes, I think that, and of course, with approval by the board, that it could be open and should be open for our community, but limited to that. And that would not take us out of the application and possibly being considered for us to receive that grant.
Thank you for clarifying, Mr. Ramirez. I just wanted to make sure that I was, okay.
Ms. Silva, you're correct about the 8 to 15, but nobody gives you the 15 in anymore. No company out there will give you longer than an 8-year warranty. We've checked them all. There's not many that are out there anymore. There's Hellas, there's Field Turf, there's Paragon.
That's the top 3.
That's the top 3. There's not many that do it anymore. They all went bankrupt.
Oh. It's a pretty
So
competitive
when
market.
was this GMAX test done?
Throughout the year, the last one was done,
We have one in January, one in February, one in March.
Any other questions?
I have
Ms.
a
Olivares?
question. When you were talking about the community having access, are you talking about, like, if I wanted to go walk on the football field? Because currently, right now, I hear it from people, from the community, but also myself, I've experienced where I can't because there's other organizations on the field practicing. So if we're going in that direction, I want to make sure that anybody, again, the community can go and walk around that field or and not be stopped because there's an organization practicing there.
Maybe set up some community hours, so that way it's like an open field for community.
so the big issue, if I may, sir, the big issue has been the safety and security and screening who comes to the field and having security or police there present while the use of the field is being done. So yes, if the Parks and Recreation pays the $700,000, and that would open up a lot of money to provide security, police officer. So definitely at 100%, we can set up a schedule. Community can come in from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock or whatever the times might be. So yes, that would definitely be done, and that would be put out for the community, and the issue of the expense of security or police officer would not be an issue because we would have saved that money. Just know in the presentation that was done for the budget workshop, the 700 and, is it 700?
750,000.
750,000 was already included there. So it would not be something that needs to be added so we can figure out what we need to cut. It's already included in case the board wants to move forward with this.
So to clarify, the $750,000 is budgeted in the general operating fund 199. So if the board moves forward with that's already accounted for, because that's something that we were anticipating a possibility that the board may want to move forward with that. So I just want to make sure it's 199.
But you would still move to get the grant?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But I just I would only move to get the grant if the board knew that there was a expectation that there would have to be community access. Because otherwise, it's a non-negotiable for Parks and Recreation.
I don't
So
think
if you're,
any of us have an issue with the community.
that's fine.
I think our issue is outside of the community.
And we will make that adjustment in the business office. So thank you for that feedback.
How much do we charge the Canadian Football League or whoever came?
So we have a specific standard in regards to the fees and use and facilities. So we charge for police officers, custodians, and that kind of stuff. It ranges, and so I don't actually have it memorized on my head, but we do have a sliding scale for our junior Cardinals because they're community members. But for the Canadian League, we did charge full price. However, the band had concessions at that and made
$12,000 to $15,000.
dollars on concessions while they were here. So
That was the benefit of that.
yes,
I have a question, I'm sorry.
no worries.
Was there any benefit to having the Canadian League for our students?
Yes, publicists, public relations, because they were able to, it was in the news, there was an article doing that. Very good, positive, word of mouth, because the Canadian League was here, but there were teams from all over the state and all over the nation. So Southside, from that standpoint, is now, good publicity is always, well, I'm gonna leave that to the marketing. So yes, from a public relations standpoint, it was good. For concessions for one of our school organizations, they were able to make that kind of money as a fundraiser. It was awesome. Other than that, no.
So I'm wondering, trying to think of my thoughts. Not necessarily opposed to the Canadians using the field, but if there was a way for us to add on a turf fee, right, to cover that, or even under the service fee for everybody, right? Because it's wear and tear, right? And everybody would kind of,
Yeah.
and that kind of goes in a bucket of money for
So
repairs or
the fees
maintenance,
are
right?
designated specifically to the rental facility, and so we have a set rate for that, plus any staff that we need to do that. As far as a turf fee for that, I think that's a great idea, because everyone who plays on an artificial turf would understand that. I don't think we would have anyone who's opposed to that. And we do, wish I hadn't said it like that, we also allow a sliding scale for our community, like the junior Cardinals. So it's not, and any other educational entities that do that. We can set up a standard schedule. I know in facilities, Ms. Eliza Fuentes does a fantastic job of helping Sharon Cardenas in the business office of us coordinating, so we could have designated days, so many days a year that could be used for outside individuals like that, and then we can go forward with that. But a turf fee is not something I'm not opposed to, so I'll look into that and see what other school districts do.
Mr. Mears, the problem in the past with the track was that there was bicycles, skateboards, baby strollers, dogs doing something on the field. I mean, it was like, there were a lot of issues.
Gum on the field, just.
In that way. But lately, it's been locked down, so.
And that would be where we would have supervision there. The security officer, police officer would be keeping an eye on it, and we definitely want to take care of the field, so that would not be allowed. And we'll make sure that, in case, the board moves forward with this, that there's posters and that we have supervision there, making sure that none of that takes place.
Yes, there's a lot more supervision and security than at that time. I mean, that's night and day compared to what it was.
Do we still maintain that field?
We do what we can right now, because they've told us, we can't even sweep it, like I said, because it's like mowing, it just pulls it off. I mean, we keep it as clean as we can.
When did maintenance stop?
We quit sweeping it about a year and a half ago. It was deep clean for the last time in 2021, Texas Motorcycle Camp.
It's mostly just rubber right now.
Yes, I mean.
Yeah, I remember when it first came, we treated it like a baby. There was fabric softener and whatnot.
Yes, ma'am.
And then,
We did it as long as we could.
and then it went salary.
We did that for 6 years.
Any other questions?
So I have a question. So would we apply for the grant first and then?
In tandem, we would apply for the grant in tandem as if you all, as we're doing the solicitation. So the Parks and Recreation, it's, Mr. Garza is the one who, our new purchasing director, well, he's not new, he came in November, but our purchasing director turned us onto it, and so we go to the committee meetings and get on their agenda. They have replaced other turf fields. That was a question Mr. Ramirez asked me, and so they have done those, and they were college fields as well as high school fields. So we would apply, and if we got the funding through that, as a district, as a governmental agency, we do not pay any bill until we are finalized and received. So if the board were to move forward and say, yes, we want to use 199 money for the $750,000, and we receive the grant, that would come back as an agenda item to say, we would like to use the grant for this over $50,000 purchase instead of 199. So does that answer your question?
Yes, so there's no guarantee that we would get the grant.
There is no guarantee, well, that is
With
the
with
same
any
with,
of
yeah,
them,
I was
I
like, that's the
guess,
same
yeah.
with all grants. But there are other activities. This one just happens to be with the bond venue for the city of San Antonio. Parks and Recreation also has other grants and available to it. So there was a district I worked in that we wrote a grant to install a softball field. So that's just, but the caveat to it, of course, is that we have community access. As long as it's scheduled, as long as it's established, and as long as we're doing a good faith effort to comply, most grantors allow that. Did I answer your question?
Mhm. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Morales?
A little off subject, but have we done any research to see if we could do ADA compatible bleachers to the softball field?
The softball field?
I know it's off subject.
So, to that, after the softball playoff game, Mr. Ramirez did direct us to do some research. So yes, we have started. I do not have any updates to give you at this time, but yes. You're welcome.
Any other on-topic questions? Okay,
So now is just an information item for you all to consider and let you know that if you choose to move forward, we as a district have prepared to budget for it in the 199 as well as apply for a grant. So it doesn't require any decision at this time. You may have one, but you don't have to do it now.
So I'd like to give a recommendation if my colleagues will entertain it. You know, in regards to at least go explore, right, and do an RFP and see what the pricing comes back at. But one thing is, you know, I know everybody goes out of business, but I don't know how we make ourselves whole if they do go out of business in 2 years, right? How do we make sure that we get that warranty for the full 8 or 10 years, right?
So to answer that question, I have reached out to our attorneys, Walsh Gallegos, and explained the reason when we were doing the research on this particular field. If for some reason a company goes bankrupt, we have the ability to file for relief and go to the actual manufacturer. So that is not something I don't have any evidence that the district did that at that time, but with filing for relief, it is also one of those things that is not guaranteed as in grantor. So we can ask for it, but it doesn't necessarily mean we will get it based on the priority of debtors that vendor has. But if that does indeed happen, then it gives us the opportunity to then reach out to another company and ask about warranty options. And if Mr. Ramirez, I spoke too soon, I apologize. Were you wanting to say something?
So I don't know if one of the criteria will be looking at the financials of each of the company that's considered. So if they have a good credit standing and have good financials, a good savings, then, you know, we would think that they would be open for business for years. But I think that's something that can be included in the RFP, just to be
Yes,
sure.
it is one of just a standard RFP, working with Walsh Gallegos. We do have that for all of them, because we don't want any concerns.
The grant application timeline is when?
So the next committee meeting is next week, and so I had asked Mr. Garza and I, we were gonna go and get on the agenda. So you have to present at the agenda, get on the agenda to present your idea, and then go from there. So at the moment, I do not have a definitive deadline for you, other than there's a meeting next week with the city of San Antonio.
I'm guessing if we do this, then in 2 months, we would have a proposal back maybe, right, for
From
consideration?
RFP, so RFP takes about 3 months, Mr.
Three months?
So 3 months, so we would have, information for you all at that time.
So maybe hopefully by the August board meeting, we would be able to make a decision, but by then we would know if we're gonna get a grant or not, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so that's no risk, right, going and doing this?
So,
That's marvelous.
Will the students be able to play on the field until then, since it's already falling apart?
So the proposal would be, is, the fact that it was overall, it had 2 out of the 3 tests passed, and I know that there are zones that are of concern, but each zone at least passed 1 of the 3 tests, every single zone, at least 1. So because we would have to go through the RFP process that takes 3 months, that would already put the team already in season. So if the board approved it, it would be that it would be right after football. Soccer would be played at the Lozoya or Matthew fields that are used right now for competition, and the work would be done, and it would take 8 to 12 weeks.
At the longest.
So then by the end in December, hopefully, it would already be completed. But of course, with already plans for all the teams that use that facility would have a field to play in. Football, of course, would be one that we do not have for varsity level, a competition field other than the stadium. So that's why we figured that it would be best to do it right after football season. Now, if the board feels that, you know what, this would have to be done now, and that would be very difficult to do without going through the bid process.
Any other questions?
so currently right now, our students or even our visitors that are playing football, they're not at risk of any injuries? Because that's my first thought when you talk about stuff coming up or loose. I mean, can they trip?
They're at risk for injury anytime we step on the field.
Right.
Like I said, we haven't seen any difference in injuries. We don't have more concussions, we don't have more ACL tears, we haven't had more of anything that we've noticed. Turf burns more from them sliding on it, it's just being rubber, but yes, we've seen more of that.
Ms. Salazar?
It sounds like, we've known that this turf isn't up to standards for a while. So from listening to you report on it, right? So why are we waiting so late in the game to even start the process of talking about it? You know, so your timeline's kind of late in the game to where you're even putting the football, right, on the backside. So why didn't we bring it here sooner, knowing that the turf really wasn't any good?
If I may, so the test was done last year, is that correct? Last year?
First one was done last year.
Last year or 2 years ago?
1 year ago.
Last year. So at the time that test passed, the overall score passed. So without going in and investigating in detail, I was under the impression, and the department was under the impression, that just the overall score, having a passing score, meant that the field was in good condition and it was playable. So because it had a passing score, we continued. Then this year, we asked for the test to be done. The first test failed.
Yes, sir.
And then I said, okay, we need to confirm. So it was the overall score that failed. And then the second test passed. So I asked, okay, let's get a third test to make sure that, you know, is it playable or not? The third assessment came out and it passed as well as an overall score. But looking into it more in detail, Coach Vincent found that it's broken down into zones. And each zone gets a passing or a failing score. Of the 10 zones that are available, 5 of them in 2 out of the 3 tests have received a failing score, but by not much, 3, 4, 5 points. But every zone has passed at least in 1 test, all 10 zones. So because of that, we just wanted to make sure that the district did its due diligence. Of course, it's always, the priority of the school is always the safety of our students. So, if the board opts to go in a different direction, and I'm not sure if these companies are by board, and if they are by board, that's something that the board can consider, and for the work to be done already, if that's what the board would like to do. And if not, we would go, it's not an item that was budgeted for. So that is one of the things that, that's why we're figuring that it'd be best to do it. It wasn't budgeted for, we haven't gone through the bid process. So we figure that we do our due diligence with this type of expense, but at the same time, the safety of our students. So far it's been playable, there hasn't been injuries other than the ones that usually take place, and it hasn't been due to the field. So again, we're bringing this item so the board can give us some direction on how to move forward.
Could we look, if we come back and we want to move and start it during football season, could we look at renting another stadium for those home games?
What, sir?
Could we look at renting another stadium for those home games? Maybe,
Do that.
That is an option. So as far as reaching out to other locations or sites for that, that has not been done at this time. It can be done, and that's a relatively short turnaround to see what's available, to see if it would be doable. When I look at that research, I would like to just remind the Board of Trustees that there's costs associated with the rental, and each time our student athletes leave the district, because you all are so supportive and focused on our student athletes, we do feed them. So that would be a 10-game away schedule. So I just share that to say that's the value of that. Just need to understand that is tied to it.
We have 4 home games. Because we play the first game in Alamo Dome against Somerset, so we have 4 home games. 3 Laredo schools in Medina Valley. That's it.
it's an option right there.
May I ask?
Yes, sir.
Just limit total use.
So Coach Locke, would it be an issue on the practices? Would we be able to have, and we practice every single day. So
Yes.
would it be an issue that you practice in, let's say, the Lozoya field?
Can I say that the one thing about our practices is we're not full contact in practice. So we're not running and hitting each other, taking each other to the ground, so it's not like a game. We don't take each other to the ground in practice, so we're not talking about having head injuries and that stuff in practice. So I think it was the same, but I think you also gotta go back and you gotta look at, you have a JV game here every Thursday also. So, or a freshman game. So now you're talking about, are we gonna take them and rent a facility for them also?
Those, could we do those at the middle school, right, the JV games, and then just the varsity games, we would rent a.
You could, you're gonna have a lot of problems with, right now, we have 3 porta potties that I put out at both of the campuses for middle school, because they don't draw like our JV and freshman draw. We won't have any concessions, and we don't have bleachers to hold a JV.
That's logistics.
I would challenge you to go back and whiteboard it and put a plan together on how to make it work, right? And pop-up tents with a table for concessions and some more porta potties, and let us worry about the money, right? And depending on how much it costs, we'll figure that out.
How many schools do we play have turf?
Everybody, only one we don't play that has turf is Medina Valley, the only one that has grass. Everybody else has turf.
It's terrible.
There's
It's
a
dirt.
field.
It's no grass. That's all we-
That was gonna be one of my questions, right? Switching to grass is just way more expensive, I would think.
Well, you gotta redo it, now you gotta bring in all the layers that were taken out, foundation, you're talking big time.
With the upkeep on the grass field, if we just put that money back each year, by the end of your turf, you'd have enough money to buy it. Because it's gonna cost you about $70,000 a year to upkeep with man hours and fertilizer and water and paint. And if you just put that back away every year, at the end of your turf life cycle, you're gonna have enough to re-turf your field.
Costs about $300,000 just to get it back to grass.
400, right at 400,000 to put it back in.
So based on your direction, President Hernandez, we will come up with a plan for in-site as well as off-site, and then allowing JV and freshmen with porta potties, concessions, and bring that proposal to you, proposals, after we presented it to Mr. Ramirez, to make sure, just to, based on your request. Is that
And then
acceptable?
if we're good, do an RFP, apply for the grant to see where you're gonna get it, and then go through that process to see where it's gonna come back. But I like Mr. Ramirez's suggestion about financials and doing that financial check, to make sure that we're gonna be made whole, right? And do a little bit more questioning on, if you do go out of business, right, what's our recourse, right? And where do we collect on that?
Okay, so our task, just for, check for understanding, is when we do an RFP, and Mr. Garza is here, we'll make sure that we are verifying their financials and their business ratings. Then we are going to look into the investigation of a turf fee for facilities and use agreements. Then we're going to, the track was mentioned, so I'm just gonna say I'm not doing anything with the turf. Okay, awesome. And so then to come up with a proposal with the three of us, with Mr. Ramirez, to identify away sites if the board chooses not to play on the field in the fall, and then home sites for JV and ninth grade football in district for porta potties, concessions, make it as realistic as it would be at the stadium for not at the stadium. Is that the charge?
Yes.
Okay, so we will apply for the Parks and Recreation grant in tandem with doing the other research. Did I miss anything?
Can we rent stadium bleachers to add on to what we
I
have?
would think that might be an
So that will,
option, right?
I will add that specifically in there. Bleachers can be rented. Challenge with that, though, there are challenges with it, but we will work out the logistics on cost to present to the board the options. Is that acceptable?
And again, I'm just looking, I'd hate to, let's say, let's play another 4 games in here, and then something happens and we're just gonna regret.
I understand. He would hate to have, with only 4 home games, that we play on it and have an injury. So he would like to have options. Did I succinctly? Yes.
Any other follow-up?
Nope.
Thank y'all very much, appreciate it. Okay, don't go too far, Ms. Dillard. Moving on to review of financial statements and federal programs update for April. Superintendent?
Mr. Board President, to review the status of the finances, we have Ms. Dillard.
Good evening, Board President, Board of Trustees, Executive Team. So what I'd like to do is do a review of our financials. Here are the financials for the General Operating Fund for April of 2023. You will see that our revenue projection was $61,521,717. We have received $48,753,929.77. We have spent $51,061,752. Please know, in the $48 million, we do have this coming, so you should see our payment ledger from TEA. So we're still expecting $9,587,691 in our FSP. So I wanted to let you know that even though the revenue was lower than what it would normally be at this time, we are May 20th, so in about 4 days, we will have another payment hit the Frost account. So that's the general operating fund. As always, our stellar fund, child nutrition, has a revenue of $6,394,299. They've actually received $5,000,008. They have spent $5,000,004. The program continues to make money. She is working on spending down her excess fund balance. There are different things that child nutrition is working on for all cafeterias at all campuses. So I share this to say that she will be, last time she spoke to you all, I think she mentioned indirect costs. So she may be looking into indirect costs so that she can fund some of the things that she now has on 199 for, such as permits and various different things. Still keeps all the money in child nutrition, but allows her some flexibility in doing spend. And I see a nod there. So that will allow her to be able to do even more than she's currently doing for the district with all programs. Then here is our debt service. And here we have $8,267,450 that we've received in revenue. I would like to remind the Board of Trustees that this increase is based on, because our tax collection is a year in arrears. So last year we had close to $1, it was $1.38. Most of that was for M&O. I'm sorry, most of that was for INS, which is the debt service, which is why you'll see this large $8 million balance in here. Going forward, 9/1 or 10/1, when the city of San Antonio sends out their new tax bills, it will be based on INS for the tax rate that we now have that was a 12-cent reduction. So I didn't specifically address that in our budget workshop, but it is something I want to remind you here, because this will not grow at this pace this time next year. So I just want to give everybody a heads up in regards to that. So federal programs update. Here is a snapshot of all of our programs that are state and or federal. You will see our silent alarm and all the way down to our Title II. It shows you the school year that we have, what we're in, what we have been awarded, what we have drawn down, and what we have available. I will point out that in the Safety and Security Standards Grant, $312,904, in our last meeting, the board approved a purchase. It has not been drawn down because we have not liquidated, we have not received it and it finalized to liquidate. So still only have $250,000 in that, but it hasn't been drawn down because we haven't paid it. And then federal updates, programs update number 2, here's even more celebration. Our district has way more grants than any other district in Bexar County, which is a good thing. It's just a lot to manage. So we want to celebrate. Even our teachers are getting involved, as well as our curriculum specialist, Dr. Avon. So you'll see here, he's got UTSA prep scholars. He's received $6,000 from them. The City of San Antonio Eco Scholars. Gallardo and Freedom have received $7,000 with Dr. Avon's support. Mrs. Snyder at Freedom also received $7,000. Dr. Avon received an additional $6,000 at the high school. And then Alexis Flores received $10,000 for environmental systems. Hopefully you saw the article from the communications department. Okay, celebrating that. And then Hispanic colleges and universities with USAA, Mr. Ramirez and Mr. Castillo and Mr. Rodriguez with Mr. Malater have also received $10,000. And this gives the district the opportunity through this grant to offer scholarships. So it's a financial literacy program. So the district, meaning Mr. Gilbert Rodriguez as well as Mr. Malater, have decided they want to give scholarships to as many seniors as they can. So that's awesome. And then we have, I guess that was it. That was my last slide. Thought there was another one. But we have a lot of individuals who are applying for grants, and we are making it a purposeful activity, as well as making sure that we're doing our collaboration, coordination of services. So everyone's working to make sure that we are meeting the needs that we have identified. Are there any questions?
Any questions, Ms. Morales?
Mr. Malater, it's nice to know that a fellow Cardinal alumni is able to give back to the community through scholarships. Thank you.
Awesome.
Any other questions, comments? All right, congratulations on being #1 in grants. I know it's a lot of work, but it's.
It is indeed, but it's working for the students.
Thank you. All right, moving on to new business. Discuss and consider approval to authorize the award to the highest proposal submitted by the EduSource Corporation in the amount of $124,800 and approve an over $50 purchase for the removal and replacement of cafeteria tables and chairs at Lozoya and Matthew Middle Schools as requested by Child Nutrition Department. Superintendent.
Mr. Board President, cafeteria tables at Lozoya and Matthew need to be replaced, and we have Ms. Ramirez and Mr. Garza with the presentation.
Welcome, Mr. Garza and Ms. Ramirez. Welcome.
Good evening, Board President Mr. Hernandez, Superintendent Mr. Ramirez, board members, and members of the community. The Purchasing Department and the Child Nutrition Department are requesting, 1, the authority to award to the highest ranked proposal submitted by the EduSource Corporation in the amount of $124,800 for the removal and installation of cafeteria tables and chairs at Lozoya and Matthew Middle Schools, and 2, approve the over $50,000 purchase for this contract action. The Purchasing Department advertised a request for proposal for the removal and installation of the new cafeteria tables and chairs at both schools. The scope of work provided for a turnkey solution for the dismantling and of the existing tables and chairs and installation of the new equipment. The removed equipment will be transported to the district warehouse, so it will be scheduled for auction with revenue scheduled for the general fund. Let's see here. 7 proposals were received by Learning Environments LLC, Reliance Air and Refrigeration LLC, JR Incorporated, the EduSource Corporation, Quality Specialty Products, Alamo Classroom Solutions, and School Specialty. The timeline of events, February 27 was when we advertised the RFP. March 10th was the deadline for questions and answers. March 31st, we had a pre-bid conference, and April 6th was the proposal due date. As for the recommendation, the Purchasing Department and Child Nutrition Department are requesting the approval for one, authorize the award to the highest ranked proposal submitted by the EduSource Corporation in the amount of $124,800, and two, approve the over $50,000 purchase for the removal and replacement of the cafeteria tables and chairs at La Soya and Matthew Middle Schools through Fund Code 240, as requested by the Child Nutrition Department.
The current tables that we have at the campuses, Lozoya, for example, 18 years old, and there's a brand-new floor put in there last year, and the tables are so old that they're damaging the floor, so that's one of the reasons. The tables is part of the cafeteria and is not an allowed purchase by Child Nutrition. Due to the excessive fund balance that I currently have, I went in there and asked permission to allow me to spend the money and replace the tables at Matthew and at Lozoya. And it's gonna be a total of 60 tables at each location. We're also adding some logos, so they'll have the Cardinals on the tables. So we're excited for that. Do y'all have any questions?
Good context, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Ms.
I
Allison?
have one. Mr. Garza, I heard you say that the old is gonna be put in auction and then the revenue is going to be back to $199. Why isn't the revenue for those going back to $240?
That was we're going to have a discussion with the CFO because in my procurement practice, that's been a standard practice where it'll go to the general fund, but with permission.
And I know you probably don't want it.
We actually had an auction, and whatever items I had in there, I always go find out where the money went, and they put it back in 240.
Okay.
These tables will not go to 240 because they were not bought from 240 account. As I said, the furniture or anything for the building is not an allowable expense for me. So current tables at other campuses, they're really not purchased with 240. So if they go to auction, they go to 199. I want 240. That's why it'll go to the district account.
Thank you for clarifying. I knew that, but I just wanted a little bit. So I don't have any more questions. I just wanted to clarify that.
Like, I just want to spend the money.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? All right, at this time, do I have a motion for item? All right, Ms. Lisa Salazar makes the motion, Ms.
Do I need to
Margarita
read this
Morales.
language?
Yes.
I make a motion that we authorize the award to the highest ranked proposal submitted by the EduSource Corporation in the amount of $124,800 and approve an over $50,000 purchase for the removal and replacement of cafeteria tables and chairs at Lozoya and Matthew Middle School through Fund Code 240 as requested by the Child Nutrition Department.
Okay, Ms. Lisa Salazar makes the motion, Ms. Margarita Morales seconds. Ms. Farias?
Yes.
Ms. Olivares?
Yes.
Ms. Morales?
Yes.
Ms. Salazar?
Yes.
Ms. Silva?
Yes.
Ms. Robles?
Yes.
And I just unanimous, yes. Congratulations. Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Garza. At this time, we will now be going into closed meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Morales makes the motion, Ms. Salazar seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. The time is now 8:56 PM. Thank you all very much for being with us. Have a good evening. Be safe getting home.